My worst commentaries of 2021 list really had some interesting reactions to it. Like, more so than usual. So we've got a fun one on our hands today, and instead of introducing the target outright, I think I'm going to go over the full grasp of what it is I'm talking about first, because who my target is actually somewhat important to today's commentary. Yeah, let's flip the script a bit. So back in 2018, Storytime animators were getting a ton of flack, right? Like, they were super under fire that year for what I would personally argue were pretty pathetic reasons, but nevertheless, they were under fire, and many people made videos talking about them and their community as a whole. Fast forward a couple years to 2020, and a man who calls himself Liam Talks made a video talking about the assistance to the Storytime animators. He goes on to Twitter and tags the odds one out, who then goes on to block Liam. Liam then makes a second video talking about it like a month later. I guess at some point he talked about it in a Discord chat with another commentator by the name of Quinn Curio. Quinn had a few criticisms of Liam's work, to which he went on to make a video called Quinn Curio Positively Disingenuous. This is also where he ropes in a video Quinn made about the Storytime animation critiques I mentioned that happened in 2018. Without saying too much from the starting line, I didn't like Liam's original video, so I put it on my top 10 worst commentaries of 2021. Liam saw that, was disappointed that a video summarizing problems that I had with videos didn't actually go into the problems that I had with his video, and then made a video on his segment, saying that I had double standards, which, yeah, if you thought I wasn't going to at least acknowledge it in some way, you must be new here. So yeah, let's jump into it.
So today I want to talk about DoodleTones. Now she'd made this video, Top 10 Worst Commentaries of 2021, where she placed my video, Quinn Curio Positively Disingenuous, at the 4th place, sent to me by somebody on Twitter, so I was curious about it. Because for sure, there is criticism of the video. My wording is too repetitive in the video, definitely could have been tightened up a lot in certain places, so I was curious what DoodleTones had to say. And needless to say, I was pretty disappointed. So all that said, let's get right into this.
You know, say what you will about us slideshow commentators, at least we're not drama channels.
Okay, right off the bat, not a good start. First of all, DoodleTones, did you look into my channel at all?
Nope. I watched the one video because it was sent to me and then looked back at the assistant animators video and figured that was all there was. Are you daft? Of course I did. I just took notice of the Neckalult video, the Scott Coffin video, the Gaming Journalism video, the Commentary Community Divide, the videos where we talk about Bo Blacks and Kavos, albeit videos where you might not have been talking about drama, certainly stuck to the overall topic of channels that do hover in that drama channel box. I saw your Gothics video, J-Station, Top Hat and Champagne, a channel whose name I hadn't heard of in years, by the way, so thanks for that blast of nostalgia. Hopeless Peaches, Dream Stands, Tommy Innit, the roughly 3 videos you made on the Odds Ones Out, the video on Turkey Tom, Hopeless Peaches again, the Quartering, both the Toby drama videos, Josiah Rises, which I get is about YouTube being unfair to a content creator, but bear with me here, the video about Cuties and Movie Bob, and then the video titled Spetchy's Redemption, which feels like a callback to the 2018 drama surrounding her, even though I know it is not. Like, I'll admit I haven't watched all the videos I listed off. Only a handful of the ones I mentioned I watched because I wasn't sure what the topic was, such as the Bo Blacks and Cabos ones in particular. Same goes for the Josiah Rises video, but most of these others I know were either on the heels of dramas or straight up about them, either because you put the fact that they're about dramas in the title, or otherwise had a title that in some way implied a devil's advocacy of something big the topic was being accused of, such as the case for Gothics. Could I be wrong about some of these videos? Yes, absolutely. I will be fair and fully admit that my impression of you was built on at least somewhat on assumptions. But these assumptions are not unfounded, when out of the 41 videos I saw at the time of watching your Quinn Curio video, roughly 23 of them either hovered around potential drama or were directly talking about it. What impression was I supposed to get from that? This isn't helped by the fact that your Quinn Curio video was built on the back of the Odds Ones Out blocking you. something you seemed oh too proud of in your video about that, but more on that later.
I'm not, and I've never been a drama channel. I could give you the benefit of the doubt at least that this was long before my Future the Channel video, and way before I did a big shift in the content of my channel. But even at the time of this video's release, my channel was very much a commentary channel. I would talk about other YouTubers, sometimes positively, sometimes negatively, or sometimes I'd just talk about general topics that had nothing to do with anyone, such as my sponsors video, the goal of YouTube, the commentary community divide, the problems with cancel culture. So you've just lied about my entire channel, whether intentionally or unintentionally.
See, lying is a very targeted word, implying to a degree that I am making the statement intentionally to deceive or that I otherwise do not believe the words coming out of my mouth. Now, I could be misinformed, for sure, and hell, I'll concede to the notion that maybe I was. But to call it lying has a much different connotation to it that only really serves as poisoning the well.
And you say, oh, well, I'm a slideshow channel, at least I'm not a drama channel. DoodleTones, if you're going to try and make the excuse of, oh, well, you're a drama channel to me, then I'm going to need you to show some semblance of self-awareness, because you realize what your channel is, right? You do commentaries, you talk about other channels. So for you to try to moral grandstand and say, oh, at least I'm not a drama channel, it's completely hypocritical. It shows a lack of self-awareness on your part, and a completely weird, unearned sense of moral superiority.
Sweet, I get to talk about the slideshow commentary community now, because welcome to the community that spends most of our time covering singular individual videos about predominantly nerd shit, before moving on to the next video about nerd shit. I only bring this up because, hey, crazy concept, Liam. There are multiple subgenres of commentary, and not every criticism that can be thrown at one subgenre will apply to all of them. In the slideshow CC's case, we will typically be criticized for our use of anime characters as avatars, the fact that we cover some very petty shit that doesn't matter in the long run, the fact that we have stupid skits at the beginnings and ends of our videos sometimes, the fact that the community is close-knit and will be very defensively combative with bandwagons, but these are not critiques that would be made against, say, the leafy, cynical riff commentators, who typically get criticized for bullying kids, be lazy with their editing, overly frequent uploads, being substanceless, and the sort. And drama channels will get critiqued for either starting or leeching off drama, will reach for points against an individual to make a grandiose statement against them as a character, hyperbolize a problematic behavior someone has, very dishonest sounding tactics that are less to help a creator get better and more to paint the creator in an incredibly bad light. Which, yes, does paint me as someone who looks like I'm trying to have some level of superiority, for sure. But one, that's not to say that we as slideshow commentators don't have our problems. We do. And second, is implying that these aren't normal criticisms for drama channels. Furthermore, you imply that my issue with drama content is just the fact that they're covering other people. Hence where this apparent gotcha point where I also cover people come in. But that does what I mistakenly did with your own content in assuming things. And, more to the point, leaning on worst case scenario. Because my issues with drama channels aren't merely the critiques of other people, it's what they cover and how. Coincidentally, a lot of my issues with this type of content is stuff that I explain in my segment on you, so that's fun. Whereas with my own content, well, let's go down the list of some of your examples, shall we? My worst of the year list is a countdown first and foremost, not a commentary, so let's not twist it what it is. But generally, it's a list where I talk about videos from that year I didn't like and summarizing the issues that I had with them. They are not full commentaries. I'll fully admit the Sylveon video was a pretty decent example of me dipping into drama, as a kid had stalked me for all of last year and I wanted to yell about it. The video on Yoshi Player is a video about someone else's countdown regarding their least favorite cartoons. In the Mind of a Recolor is a video about cartoons and video games. The video on Mad Plushie was about medication and the concept of safe spaces. The Doug Walker video was on his wall review, so music. You use yet another countdown as an example, so see example 1. The video on Nintendo Meta Runner, sure, I'll concede, that's drama. I guess, congrats, you managed to hit like 4 of them, but Given that I'm sitting here at over 300 commentaries, they were just lucky cherry-picked shots in the dark. It is not my main source of content. Look, it's a roundabout way of saying it, but my point is there's nuance to this. My issues don't stem from merely covering other channels, and so just pointing at me and saying, oh, see, you're a commentator too, so that must mean you're a drama channel is, frankly, not a good point. Because you don't really know what my issues with drama channels are, and so you jumped to a straw man to argue against, so you could throw it at me with a call to hypocrisy without realizing in order to properly call me out on hypocrisy, there has to be a level of understanding to what my stance is. That's not even touching on the fact that this was a segue into a segment and isn't even amongst my biggest issues with your Quinn Curio video. Good lord.
And you're going to talk about this later of how my video wasn't a good first impression. DoodleTones, you haven't even gotten into my video yet.
Neither have you. What's your point, Home Slice? Like, I still had to have watched your video ahead of time before putting out my worst of the year list. Did you forget that people can do that? That said, if this is trying to say that I'm poisoning the well in some way, then not only are you jumping the gun on this because we have yet to see me say what you're alluding to in my video, but also, bro, you're number 4 on the list of my least favorite commentaries of that year. By this point, a viewer would know that I don't like a video. Oh, and also, let's not forget how you started your initial video on Quinn, Liam.
So today I'm going to be talking about one of the most disingenuous hypocrites you'll ever see in your life, Quinn Curio, a person who presents herself as fair and well balanced, when that's anything but the case. A person who constantly tries to victimize others to shield them from personal responsibility. And looking at Quinn from the past to the present right here, she has not changed in the slightest. She's a hypocrite, she's biased, she's disingenuous. Her argumentation is so pathetic and weak, all it amounts to is appeal to emotion and character assassination. All she can do is generalize, all she can do is assume the worst.
That is literally from the time you started the video to right when you start talking about context. So if this is trying to tell me that I'm poisoning the well, then you're a hypocrite out the gate. Not helped by the fact that we haven't even gotten to the point where I say your video is a bad first impression. That said, I also, during editing, thought of a second possible notion that this could be alluding to, where Liam is trying to say that my list is also a bad first impression, to which I fail to see what that does. Like, why bring up the fact that I thought your video was a bad first impression when all you're going to do is say no you to it? Like, I just don't get the alternative here.
You've outright lied about what I do on my channel, what my channel is, whether intentionally or unintentionally.
Considering the ratio of drama videos to non-drama videos by the video on Quinn, not really. And even then, had I been more misinformed, you're still assuming a lot with that claim of lying, but go off, I guess.
You've showed a complete lack of self-awareness and hypocrisy.
Also wasn't proven, because you would have had to know my issues of drama channels to call this any form of hypocrisy.
And a rather silly amount of moral grandstanding, and just overly sanctimonious. So just as I told Quinn Curio in my video, I'm going to need you DoodleTones to kindly get off your high horse.
Friendly reminder that all of these accusations against me were because of one sentence that insinuated that Liam is a drama channel in defense of slideshow commentators. And I'm the one on the high horse. Like, dude, you just wrote a whole commentary script on what you think I thought.
So today I'm going to be talking about one of the most disingenuous hypocrites you'll ever see in your life, Quinn Curio, a person who presents herself as fair and well balanced, when that's anything but the case.
So this is Liam. He did a video about a user by the name of Quinn Curio, and I kinda really don't like it if it being on this list is any indicator. Like, let me ask y'all a rhetorical question. Do you think it makes sense for someone who unironically uses facts don't care about your feelings in a way to call someone oversensitive?
Oh, excuse me, I didn't realize I was responding to Quinton reviews.
So, here's the thing. I fucking hate Trump.
I never said that Quinn's feelings didn't matter. I never said that anyone's feelings don't matter. I said that you can feel however you want, and that is perfectly fine, perfectly valid. But I or anyone else is not obligated to abide by that.
So, essentially, facts don't care about your feelings. Like, no, it's not focused on facts as much as the initial line. Like, this isn't that kind of conversation, but it's a similar premise on principle. To dismiss in any and all possible feelings of another individual because they don't align to your own doesn't make you nearly as good of a critic as maybe you think it does. Plus, considering how oddly hyper-fixated you are about Quinn's feelings throughout the entire